Hari Om, Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. A very poetic description is given of a lotus in a pond blowing in the wind, and a drop of water sitting on one of the petals of the lotus, rolling back and forth as it sways in the breeze. The description that is given is saying that our lives are as uncertain as that drop of water on the petal of the lotus in the pond, that we never know which direction we're going to go in, and we never know when it's going to fall off. Our lives are that uncertain, even though we have this false sense of security and we have a sense of we plan and we know what's going to come next. There's so many things that can happen and do happen that completely disorientate us. There's the natural disasters that happen, or sometimes political unrest, an economic crisis. Worse, if it's something like a relationship where you're being betrayed, a loss, the dynamics significantly changing due to health or financial difficulties. We just never know what's going to come next. And because of this incredible uncertainty, the scriptures advise us to live each moment well. And the whole essence of Bhaja Govindam is this idea that we don't know what tomorrow holds for us, and the past is gone, so right now is really what we have. And since we have it and it's real and we are here, be present in this moment and make the most of it. And so often we'll get these forwards on emails or WhatsApp of a person who's been diagnosed with a disease or at the tail end of their life because of some unfortunate incident, and they'll write things like they wish they hadn't bothered about how their hair looks and let it just blow in the breeze. They wish they had hugged their kids more. They wish they had listened to all those stories that the kids wanted to say rather than hush them up because they were busy, or they were talking on the phone, or they were just tired from the day. Usually the things that people regret are the small things that we don't realize how precious they are because they're small. But when it comes to the tail end of our lives, it's really those ones that matter. It's very rare will it be a thing that matters, a commodity or money that matters. It will be a person and how they made you feel. It will be the relationship and how deep we've been able to go into it. Sometimes I see children mourning their parents, and they're definitely grieving, but they're not necessarily grieving the loss of that particular person. Sometimes they're grieving more for the loss of what could have been that relationship. They would have wanted a warm, nurturing relationship and maybe never quite got it. And now with this person's death, that hope of having that nurturing relationship is gone. And so the grief is of what could have been. And if life is so uncertain, why wait around for what could be, what we want it to be? Why not just make it what it is? Very often I'll give the example that when we die, we don't want our children to remember us as, oh, she was always thin. And I remember I gave this example in one incident, and after the class was over, one lady came up to me and said, you say that, but I think a lot of women do want to be remembered as they were thin. And I laughed, and maybe some people will want to be remembered it, but they don't want to be remembered as only that. Imagine if the only good thing your children could say about you was, oh, she was thin, oh, he was athletic. We would want them to talk about our virtues. We would want them to talk about how we made them feel, how we inspired them, how we uplifted them, how they looked forward to meeting us. And so why not take the present moment that we have, which is certain, which is here now, and do those things that will build up to become the person that we want them to remember us by. And so Bhaja Govindam is showing us the uncertainty, not to make it morbid or horrid, or not to be pessimistic, but to help us to truly live, to let the wind blow through our hair, and to let us enjoy the smiles on people's faces, and to stop and to smell the flowers. Sometimes it can be something so simple, and sometimes when we're not paying attention to the present moment, we can even miss significant things, not just the small things. I remember reading an incident about a young man, upcoming in his profession, managed to accumulate enough savings to buy himself a BMW, and so of course very proud and happy to have this new car, was driving around and testing the speed and enjoying being seen in it. And just out of the corner of his eye, he thought he saw some children dart out of a parked car, but then when he looked, it didn't appear that any children was there, and so he was driving along maybe a little bit faster than he should, and out of the blue he had this brick hit the side of his car. Fortunately, the window further away from him, and so he slammed on his brakes. He turned the car around, stopped it, got out, slammed the door, went to the child who was still standing there, grabbed the child's clothes and said, "What do you think you're doing? Do you know how expensive that car is? Do you know how much it's going to cost? And why would you throw a brick at me?" And in this rain, didn't notice that this young boy didn't try to run away, was actually just standing there and had a tear rolling down his cheek. And finally, when he stopped to breathe, the young boy said, "I'm sorry, sir, I didn't know what else to do. No car would stop and I need help. My elder brother has rolled off a curb and fallen out of his wheelchair, and he's too heavy. I can't lift him up and put him back on the wheelchair, and I just need someone to help me." And suddenly the anger that was there in this young professional kind of melted away, and he had a lump in his throat, and he let go of the boy and walked with him to the curb, saw the handicapped young brother and put him back on the wheelchair, and even took out his hanky and wiped the tears off the face of the younger brother, and then just stood there and watched as this younger brother pushed the wheelchair of the older brother and walked down the street. He very slowly walked back to his car and got back in and looked at the window and thought, to make someone stop, he had to throw a brick. How come we're not noticing? And he never did fix the dent on his car because he wanted to remember. He wanted to remember not to go so fast in life that we don't stop and be able to notice when we need it, or when someone else is in pain, when we can help, when we can make a difference. And often it is said by many teachers of spirituality that life constantly whispers messages to our hearts and to our souls. And if we don't listen to the whispers, then it's going to have to throw a brick at us. And so this uncertainty that we are constantly facing in our life will hit us harder when we're not constantly aware that there is perpetual change, and when we're not embracing the moment and thoroughly living in the moment. This beautiful message is not something that's new. It's something we hear again and again to make the most of our lives, to know that tomorrow is not a promise, it's a possibility. But to really embrace it so that today is meaningful, now is meaningful. Not to wait to be with a particular person and then it will be meaningful. Whoever we are with, let it be meaningful. Not to wait for doing a particular thing, but whatever it is we are doing, to know that right now is such an incredible gift and blessing. It's so very, very precious. Uncertainty awaits in the future, but right now we have power and control and choice. And so think about what we're doing with that choice.
For more information on Chinmaya Mission, visit our website, chinmayamission.com. For all the young adults out there, to know about our upcoming activities at the nearest Chinmaya Mission Center, visit us at chinmayayuvakendra.org. And for all our parents and teachers listening, please visit chinmayakids.org for an interactive experience of spirituality on a digital platform. Spellings of the website are provided in the description field of the podcast.